Hare Krishna. This
Hare
is Govardhan Leela. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna,
Hello?
Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Rohini Mataji. How are you?
Okay, good, Mataji. Thank you.
Blessings to you. Oh, yeah. Who else is on the call with you?
I don't know. Nobody is speaking. That's why I'm wondering what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, I don't think I didn't prepare today. I've been out all day. So we're just going to have to read.
Mataji, I'm on the call, but I'm trying to finish something and then I'll be with you like fully.
Okay. I was unable to prepare today. I don't feel good.
That's fine.
And,
yeah.
I was running errands all day long since like 9 o'clock this morning, and I'm very exhausted. So I'm going to do it, but I'm just saying I didn't get to prepare anything.
Yeah, that's fine, Mataji. This section seems to be like very intuitive and also like more like a story. So
Yes.
So I
Yes.
guess we'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be with all of you in like just 5 minutes. I'm just wrapping up something, okay?
Sure, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay,
so it's 7. Go ahead.
Okay, so we finished with the prayers?
No, I haven't done the prayers yet, so I'm going to do them right now. And is Ruchi Mataji on the call too?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can read.
Oh, very good. That's great. Thank you. All right, let me do the prayers right now, and then we can get rolling here. I'm laying down, so if I sound weird, I have to lay down. My back is in a lot of pain. So, okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim I can't speak today. Devim Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So Mataji's today we're reading from Canto 4, Chapter 4, Sati quits her body. And I believe we have today verses 18, 19, and 20. So, Ruchi Mataji, would you care to read text 18?
Yes. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Okay, so Atasta अतस्त्वोत्मनदं कलेवरं नाधारिष्ये शितिकण्ठगहृणः जगतस्तमोहाद्रि विशुद्धिमन्दसो जुगत्पे तस्योद्धरणां प्रचक्षते. Could you come down to the purport, because I'm reading it from the screen. Hare Krishna. Could you?
I am laying down, Mataji. I can't do that. I think that was Leela Manjari who, what, you want her to move the screen down?
Okay, I have opened it. I've
Okay.
opened the
Mataji,
translation.
can you speak little loud? I cannot hear you.
Okay, translation. Therefore I shall no longer bear this unworthy body, which has been received from you who has blasphemed Lord Shiva. If someone takes food which is poisonous, the best treatment is to vomit. Purport. Since Sati was the representation of the external potency of the Lord, it was in her power to vanquish many universes, including many Dakshas. But in order to save her husband from the charge that he employed his wife Sati to kill Daksh, because he could not do so due to his inferior position, she decided to give up her body. So
Wow.
text 19 also.
Yes, if you would like. Mm-hmm.
Na Veda Vadanavartate Matihi. Just give me 1 second. Calling mommy's mother to meet you. न वेदवादनवर्तते मतिः स्व एव लोके रमतो महोसने यथा गतिर्देवमनुष्यो पृथक् स्व एव धर्मे न परं क्षिपे स्थितः. Translation. It is better to execute one's own occupational duty than to criticize others. Elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas since they do not need to follow them, just as the demigods travel in space, whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. Purport. The behavior of the most elevated transcendentalist and that of the most fallen conditioned soul appears to be the same. The elevated transcendentalist can surpass all the regulations of the Vedas, just as the demigods traveling in space surpass all the jungles and rocks on the surface of the globe, although a common man who has no such ability to travel in space has to face all those impediments. Although the most dear Lord Shiva appears not to observe all the rules and regulations of the Vedas, he is not affected by such disobedience, but a common man who wants to imitate Lord Shiva is mistaken. A common man must observe all the rules and regulations of the Vedas which a person who is in the transcendentalist position does not need to observe. Daksh found fault with Lord Shiva for not observing all the strict rules and regulations of the Vedas, but Sati asserted that he had no need to observe such rules. It is said that for one who is powerful like the sun or fire, there is no consideration of purity or impurity. The sunshine can sterilize an impure place, whereas if someone else were to pass such a place, he would be affected. One should not try to imitate Lord Shiva, rather one should strictly follow one's prescribed occupational duties. One should never vilify a great personality like Lord Shiva. Okay, now somebody else can read because I'm a little out of breath.
Thank you, Ruchi Mataji. Has anyone else joined the class that would like to read?
Okay. Karma pravritam janiritam apiritam vede vivishaya payaldam ashritam viroti tad yada padaika katari vayam tata pramani kamanar jahati. Translation. In the Vedas, there are directions for two kinds of activities. Activities for those who are attached to material enjoyment, and activities for those who are materially detached. In consideration of these two kinds of activities, there are two kinds of people who have different symptoms. If one wants to see two kinds of activities in one person, that is contradictory. But both kinds of activities may be neglected by a person who is transcendentally situated. Purport. The Vedic activities are so designed that the conditioned soul who has come to enjoy the material world may do so under direction so that at the end he becomes detached from such material enjoyment and is eligible to enter into the transcendental position. The four different social orders, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas, gradually train a person to come to the platform of transcendental life. The activities and dress of a grihastha or householder are different from those of a sannyasi, one in the renounced order of life. It is impossible for one person to adopt both orders. A sannyasi cannot act like a householder, nor can a householder act like a sannyasi. But above these two kinds of persons, one who engages in material activities and one who has renounced material activities, there is the person who is transcendental to both. Lord Shiva is in the transcendental position because, as stated before, he is always absorbed in the thought of Lord Vasudeva within himself. Therefore, neither the activities of the grihastha nor those of the sannyasi in the renounced order can be applicable for him. He is in the para mahamsa stage, the highest perfectional stage of life. The transcendental position of Lord Shiva is also explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.52 through 53. It is stated that when one fully engages in the transcendental service of the Lord by performing activities without fruitive results, one is elevated to the transcendental position. At that time, he has no obligation to follow the Vedic injunctions or the different rules and regulations of the Vedas. When one is above the directions of the Vedic ritualistic injunctions for attaining different allurements and is fully absorbed in transcendental thought, which means thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service, one is in the position called Buddhi Yoga or Samadhi, ecstasy. For a person who has attained this stage, neither the Vedic activities for realizing material enjoyment nor those for renunciation are applicable.
Thank you, Manasi Ganga Mataji. As I said before, I was unable to prepare for anything today. I've been running errands the whole day and I'm not feeling well. So I'm going to just go through and summarize what we have read today. And, you can add afterward and, correct me, whatever you feel. So today we had text 18, 19, and 20. So we realized just prior to this that Sati was talking about, just prior to this this text 18, talking about being very careful about blaspheming, okay, because Lord Daksha, her father, had blasphemed her husband, Lord Shiva. And so he should have been killed, or his tongue should have been cut out because of this blaspheming. But Sati chose not to kill her father. That was her father. So she decided, because she had heard the blaspheming or the cursing, if you will, she was hearing it, and so she decided that that was her sin and she should give up her body. So here she's saying, in text 18, she cannot bear this unworthy body, which has been received from you, in other words, her father, who blasphemed her husband, Lord Shiva. So if someone takes food which is poisonous, what's the best treatment? It's to vomit or to get rid of the poison. So this I did not know. Sati was the representation of the external energy or potency of the Lord. So she had power to vanquish many universes and many dakshas. So in order to save her husband from this, it says the charge, from the curse or whatever, that he had used his wife, that in other words, that Lord Shiva was using his wife Sati to kill Daksha. But this sentence is very convoluted because he couldn't do so due to his inferior position. The best treatment is to, she decided to give up her body. Since I think maybe this is one whole sentence, this big long purport. Her husband, Lord Shiva, could not kill Daksha due to his inferior position. I'm not quite sure what that means, but anyway, she took to save her husband from this type of how can I say, instead of blaspheming, this curse. She took it on for him. In other words, she decided to give up her body because she had a lot of power to vanquish many universes. I didn't know that she had a lot of power. So this particular verse, maybe somebody can elaborate on for me. I think I got the idea, but I'm not sure if I understood it correctly. Now, it's interesting, in text 19, one should execute one's own occupational duty rather than criticizing others. Oh boy, that right here, this was about Daksha and, criticizing Lord Shiva, and he was criticizing him because he said he wasn't following the rules and regulations of the Vedas exactly, okay? And he should have known that elevated transcendentalists like Lord Shiva don't need to follow them. Why? Because they're in an elevated transcendental position. They're beyond these rules and regulations. And the demigods, it said here that the demigods travel in space, whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. So that's another way to say, look, the demigods are beyond this surface travel of the earth that we have to undergo. They can travel in space. Okay, they are in a higher or more elevated position than we are. So it might look like an elevated transcendentalist is in the same position as a fallen conditioned soul. They might appear to be the same, but they're not. Why would they appear to be the same? Because ordinary conditioned souls, they don't follow any rules and regulations. And here these elevated transcendentalists don't have to follow them either. And so it's not that they're on the same level, though. An elevated transcendentalist, he surpasses all of those rules and regulations in the Vedas. Okay. And so, a demigod, if he's traveling, this is, again, this analogy, if a demigod's traveling in space, he can surpass all the rocks and the jungles on the globe, right? A common man has no ability to do this, so he has to face all the impediments of the jungles and the rocks, etc. So Lord Shiva, who was very elevated, appears, and I think in one class, Manasi Ganga was mentioning this, his appearance, we can't be fooled by appearances. He might appear not to observe all these rules and regulations of the Vedas, but he is not going to be affected if he disobeys. Whereas a common man who wants to act like Lord Shiva, in other words, like an elevated transcendentalist, is mistaken, because we have to observe the rules and regulations because we're not in that elevated position yet. Okay, we will get a reaction if we don't follow those rules and regs. Whereas Lord Shiva is already in the transcendental position, so he has surpassed that. He's not going to get a reaction like we would. So again, we understand that Daksha found fault with Lord Shiva for not observing all those strict rules and regs, but Sati was trying to explain, look, he doesn't need to observe those rules and regs. Like if you're considering something as powerful as the sun or fire, there's no consideration of purity or impurity, okay? The sunshine will sterilize an impure place, but if somebody else passes by that place, he would be affected. And that's the idea here. But we should not, as common men, we should not try to imitate Lord Shiva. Okay, we should strictly follow our prescribed occupational duties, and we should never blaspheme a great personality like Lord Shiva, who is in an elevated transcendental position. And then in text, and this text is interesting because, someone recently found fault with some. It was more of a character assassination, but it was about service. And, I was explaining my position, and that person just said, you have to do this and this and this and this and this. And I said, in this particular situation, I can only do what I can do. And this person was like, you don't want to hear what I have to, you don't want to hear the truth, blah, blah. And I said, that's just not true. I'm just expressing where I'm at and how things are at this particular point. Now, I certainly am on no level to be an elevated, I'm not Lord Shiva, I'm not an elevated transcendentalist. But the point I'm getting out of this also is, once again, we should work on our own, do our own duty. Don't criticize another person. This is so sinful. I just, I don't know. This is something that I find very difficult because I do know that I don't know about all cultures, but perhaps sometimes in our movement, there is this tendency to teach people, which is beautiful. We have to learn in order to advance. But sometimes we need to, my point was, he who is without sin cast the first stone. Work on your own services and don't worry about what somebody else is doing or criticize it, because that, I am talking with different people and my guru, and I know what it's not like I know all the answers, because I don't, and I'm certainly not in an elevated position. But it's better to leave people do their own service the way they do their service. And if this is just it's just true. It is, the criticizing is very, very damaging to people. And so we have to watch this very carefully. Now, I got over it real fast because I understand the position of this person and where they're coming from. So, I think there's, that's why I was talking about this a few days back, not just about criticizing, but there is a way. I'm very open to hearing constructive criticism if the person is doing it in a loving way. If I feel loved by the person, I will accept what needs to be accepted to change. And that's one of the reasons I love my Guru Maharaj, because, even when he even if he reprimands me, okay, I feel, even if I cry, even if I'm upset, I can take it because I know there's love there. So to have trust, for me, it requires a lot of belief that person cares about me deeply and is looking for my wealth, out for my betterment. I hope I'm making sense. But this goes along with just one part of this passage, because it does. So, and there are instances when all of us cannot observe every rule and regulation all the time. It's just time, place, and circumstance. And sometimes people can be very pushy, and it's, I guess what happens is this is just talking from maybe the mundane perspective. I'm not at a point where I'm not going to be affected by those things. And I think even if we're on a transcendental platform, that we're beyond all of this, at that point you're treating people very lovingly. And so I don't think that you're approaching people in a way that makes them feel inadequate or not good enough or a bad devotee. It's just really unbelievable. But this has happened a few times to me now, and I just kind of freeze up. So now in text 20, you can have, the Vedas are for all kinds of people, okay? And people who are interested in spiritual life, but they're still attached to material enjoyment. And then there are different types of work for those who are materially detached. So there are different types of people, and they manifest different symptoms. So what this particular purport is trying to say is, it would be contradictory to see a person doing both of these things at the same time. If you're materially detached and then you're trying to enjoy materially, that would be a contradiction in terms, okay? However, if you're a person who is like Lord Shiva, who's transcendentally situated, then you're beyond this working, this material enjoyment versus material detachment. You're already situated in the transcendental platform. So, and we know in the purport that there are many types of conditioned souls, and the Vedas, in the Vedas, there are people who want to still enjoy the material world, and they can do so, so that ultimately, they become detached. It's not like it happens all at once, okay? And there are people work within 4 different social orders. We have Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So these social orders will train the jiva to come to the platform of transcendental life. And so each one has a particular activity. The activities of the Grihastha are not the same as the activities of a sannyas. And so you're not going to see a Grihastha dressing like a sannyas, or vice versa. You won't see a sannyasi dressing like a Grihastha. Okay, so it's like a contradiction for them in terms. You do your own duty. And then there's someone, this is interesting, there are those who engage in material activities, and there are those who renounce these material activities, and then there's someone who's transcendental to both. And it's explained here that Lord Shiva is in the transcendental position, because he's always absorbed in the thought of Lord Krishna. So neither be acting like a Grihastha nor a sannyasi in the renounced order is applicable for him. He's a Paramahamsa, okay? He's in the highest perfectional stage of life, and his position is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. So when a person fully engages in the transcendental service of the Lord, and when those activities are performed without fruitive results, one is elevated to the transcendental platform. So, we can be performing devotional service, but if it is being performed for some type of result, then it is not considered pure. It's like it would be considered mixed devotional service. So to get elevated to the transcendental platform, you perform those duties for the Lord, for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When you're in that position, when you've been elevated to that position, then there's no obligation to follow Vedic injunctions or rules and regs. So when you're above the directions of the Vedic ritualistic injunctions, and you're absorbed in transcendental thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you become a Buddhi Yoga. You're in Buddhi Yogi or Samadhi, and if you're in that position, then neither the Vedic activities for realizing material enjoyment nor for those in renunciation are applicable. So the position, this is interesting. I don't know if the guru or the spiritual master, he is a sannyasi in the renounced order of life. And I'm just wondering if those rules and regs are applicable for him. It seems from this text that a sannyasi is not above the rules and regs. That's what it seems like here from what I'm reading. But he is as good as God, so I'm not really sure about a sannyasi. Activities for realizing material enjoyment, nor those for renunciation are applicable. So, but I do know that the guru has attained, he's absorbed in transcendental thought and thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service. So I'm just curious what anyone else has to say about that. Someone like Lord Shiva, these are, almost as good as God. Lord Shiva is way above the demigod, and he's not a normal, he doesn't come as a normal person. He's transcendentally situated. So maybe I'm still maybe the way I'm explaining it, I'm not positive if I've understood. Someone like Lord Shiva is so fixed in his transcendental position, he's beyond either renunciation or material enjoyment. I've always thought that like the guru or the spiritual master was beyond material enjoyment. Well, I don't know. So I'm just posing that question. And that's what I have for today. So you can comment. And if you can answer that question for me, it would help me a little bit. Leela Mandri Mataji, are you there today?
Yes, Mataji, I'm here. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you had heard what I said, because I know Manasi Ganga's there and Ruchi Mataji is there, Rohini Mataji is there also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the idea of following rules and regulations is that the most important principle is that it's very important to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So that is the purpose of all the rules and regulations. So when somebody is on a transcendental position, then there are the principle is to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And under that, all the rules and regulations exist. And if we read the Nectar of Devotion, we will see like there are so many offenses to be avoided against the worship of the deity. While worshiping the deity, there are so many offenses against the chanting of the holy name, also against Vaishnavas. So we have many, many rules and regulations, but all of those rules and regulations are subordinate to the principle that we should always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. That's the purpose of all the rules and regulations. So when somebody is extremely elevated as Lord Shiva or like the spiritual master or the Paramahamsa stage, it's not that they need those rules and regulations to remember Krishna. They're naturally remembering Krishna. And also the other part is that they follow all those rules and regulations uh, just to set an example for others. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is the example of King Janak. And Krishna also speaks about himself that although he is above all rules and regulations, he would still follow all the rules and regulations because a common man would imitate what great men do. So just to set an
Yes.
example, they would still follow all the rules and regulations. And from their vantage point, it is not a rule and regulation. Like if they have to avoid eating meat or no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, for them that's not even a question. They can automatically follow all of those things because of their spiritual strength. So they don't even think of it as rules and regulations. It has become a part of their life. So from that perspective, people who are so spiritually elevated don't need to follow those rules and regulations because it already has become a part of their life. So that is the
But then why does it say, Mataji, that that a sannyasi, where did I read that? Like is still under the it says, therefore, neither the activities of the grihasta nor those of the sannyasi in the renounced order can be applicable for him. He is in the Paramahamsa stage. In other words, I meant to say like Lord Shiva's in that position, but like the grihasta.
Where are you speaking from? Like, is it purport?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, text 20.
Yeah.
In the middle there, kind of.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what threw me off, because I realized like the sannyasi, it's natural for the sannyasi, for the spiritual master to automatically follow those rules and for them it's not rules and regulations, because they're on this. I thought they were in this Paramahamsa stage, but it kind of sounds here as if Lord Shiva is beyond like the grihasta or the sannyasi. Do you see what I'm saying there?
Yes.
Says,
that is correct, because he is not comparable to any jiva.
Okay. But Guru Maharaj's, all the gurus, they're not normal jivas, are they? I mean, we know they're not normal.
They're jivas, but they are not under the modes as we are.
Okay. They have a body, in other words.
No, not even a body. They are under the category. They are They fall under the jiva shakti of the Lord. Like we are all jivas, but Lord Shiva is in a completely different position. He's in Shiva Tattva. He's in a different Tattva. Like Radharani is the Shakti. of Krishna. Lord Shiva is in a category of himself, and we all are under the category of jivas.
Even the sannyasi.
Yes, yes. Even Lord Brahma,
Okay.
he is a jiva. Lord Brahma is a jiva.
Okay. He's a jiva. I thought, but he's a demigod.
Yeah, but all demigods are also jivas.
Okay. I didn't realize that they were
Except if
considered
you
jivas.
like Lord Shiva, Durga, they're in their own categories.
Okay.
Hare Krishna,
Yesterday,
Now that
Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, Antaranga
Hare
Shiva
Krishna.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, I had like one thought that like they have said here that we cannot compare the sannyasis and householders to Lord Shiva, because like you said, Lord Shiva is in completely different category. And also I was thinking that even for the sannyasis, what Mataji is asking, there is a chance of fall down if they do not follow rules and regulations. Though rules and regulations have become a part of their life, like you were saying, but there is also a chance of fall down. So they also chant, they do all. If they don't, then there can be a chance of fall down. This is what I.
That's true. Yeah.
While Lord Shiva will, there is no chance of fall down. So there is no comparison even between the sannyasis and Lord Shiva. Am I correct, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, you're correct. Actually, fall down means when one comes under the influence of the modes of material nature. So that is the fall down, right? So in the absolute sense, only Krishna is perfect and he's infallible. So even Lord Shiva, like, sometimes Prabhupada writes in his purports that sometimes Lord Shiva can also come under the influence of the modes, because he deals with the external energy of the Lord. But that is not like how we come under the influence of the modes. Like we still cannot compare a Jiva soul with Lord Shiva, but there is still a chance that Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva could also experience the influence of the modes of nature.
Yeah. Lord Brahma did.
Lord Brahma did, and also there is one pastime, but Prabhupada clarifies it again and again through all the purports. Lord Shiva became very attracted to Mohini Murti, but Mohini Murti was Krishna himself, who appeared as a girl. And Lord Shiva was so attracted to Mohini Murti, he started chasing her. But then, there is a difference between Lord Shiva and us, because he was chasing Krishna. He was not chasing an ordinary woman. But still, Prabhupada goes back and forth in the purports by saying, like, even Lord Shiva can come under the influence of the modes. But then he also says that, Lord Shiva is not attracted to something ordinary. He is attracted to Krishna himself. Anyone else
Okay.
to add to the discussion?
Mataji, the first verse which we read, I found the purport a little confusing. 18th verse, where
Me too.
like it is said that Shiva did not have the power to curse Daksha or kill Daksha. Something like this has been written, and I was not understanding what exactly is the meaning of this, or I have not understood it properly. Something. I'll just pull it up.
And I did not know also in that same one that you're talking about that Sati was considered is the representation of the external potency of the Lord.
Oh yeah.
So she had power to vanquish many universes.
Yeah. She is very powerful. She is the external energy of the Lord. She is the consort of Lord Shiva.
including many dakshas, but in order to save her husband from the charge that he employed his wife Sati to kill Daksha, because he could not do so due to his inferior position, she decided to give up her body. This I am not understanding. Due to his
yeah.
inferior position.
I think it is a very subtle dynamic within the relationships. See, Lord Shiva was the son-in-law of Daksha, right?
Oh, that
So the
way
son-in-law
inferior.
is subordinate to his father-in-law.
Yes, Mataji, got it.
Even the daughter is subordinate to the father.
Yes.
So she did not kill him, although she had the power to kill him. She did not kill Daksha. She gave up her own body because she heard the blasphemy of her husband.
Yes. Got it. Thank you, Ari. Wonderful. Thank you. I was not understanding what exactly is this.
Yeah, that confused me. I think the sentence is like it's almost like a run-on
Yeah, it's
sentence.
a long
It's
sentence.
long,
Yeah.
very long. So it is very difficult to follow. That's all.
Mhm. So Sati is an expansion of Durga. Durga is none other than the reflection of Radharani. So she is so powerful. If she wants, she can destroy all the universes.
My gosh. Okay.
But she didn't kill Daksha because he was in a superior position as her father.
Oh, I think there might have been a typo here. It says here that he employed his wife Sati to kill Daksha because he could not do so. Oh, due to his inferior position. In other words,
Yeah, like Lord.
I see.
Lord
Yeah, that
was
Shiva
the
was in
son-in-law.
a.
Yeah.
He was the son-in-law. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Because of
Yeah. That's where I got confused.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much.
So I want to back up and Leela Manjari, did Lord Shiva also curse Daksha? I mean, in my mind, I'm very sure the Daksha did a lot of cursing, but did Lord Shiva also?
No. He didn't curse him until this point.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this will become more and more and more interesting. Like, just wait until Sati gives up her body. Like, then the real fight starts.
So my question was
I thought there was
because
counter cursing.
Yeah, I thought there was
There was
counter
counter-cursing from the followers of Lord Shiva, not Shiva. He
Not
just left the place.
So
Nandishwara.
that those people that cursing, would that cursing by the associates of Lord Shiva, would that be powerful? Would those curses count?
Yes. That's why Prabhupada gave very elaborate purports to all of those curses by saying we can see that in Kali Yuga. So the followers of Lord Shiva, they curse the Brahmanas that they would become bewildered and they would just perform fruitive activities instead of pursuing the goal of life, which is to surrender to Lord Vishnu. So Prabhupada says actually the Brahmanical community has degraded itself. And we see that in Kali Yuga because they're just running from door to door begging for money to maintain their families instead of pursuing the goal of life.
So this came from that time period, correct? That curse by the associates of Lord Shiva came onto the Brahmanas all the way into Kali Yuga. Up until now even. So that curse has held true then.
It has helped too, but at the same time, if somebody is really surrendering to Krishna and he's really a devotee of Krishna, then it is not possible that he would still become entangled in fruitive activities. Because when somebody really tries to please Krishna, like for example, like Prabhupada, he was a Brahmana, but we cannot say that he was bound by the curse of the associates of Lord Shiva, nor were his disciples, because they were pursuing a path of pure devotion to Krishna.
Hmm.
So,
But
in a true
right.
sense, if somebody is trying to become a devotee of Krishna, then Krishna will protect them from such mentality. But they are speaking for the broader, in a broader sense, in Kali Yuga and other places. The Brahmanas will not pursue the real goal of life. They will just become um, chasers of money and fame and stuff like that.
So is that why they say in Kali Yuga everybody's a Shudra? Nobody's really truly a Brahmana?
No, that's not why. The reason is in Kali Yuga, they are supposed to perform samskaras, proper samskaras. So proper samskaras means before the birth of a child, before the man and woman unite, they are supposed to um, perform sacrifices which will bring a nice child into the womb. And then they are also supposed to perform about 12 or 13 samskaras. I don't remember the exact number, or 21. I don't remember the number, but there are
16.
huh?
I think it is 16.
16. Yeah, one is like, cutting the hair of the child, then piercing the ears of the child, then feeding the first grain to the child. Then, when the child starts writing, then the marriage, the upanayana, and finally, like, at the end, death. So, all these are like, ceremonies which are performed to imprint, give the soul impressions of Lord Vishnu. So all these are supposed to be performed as sacrifice to Lord Vishnu. But in Kali Yuga, the first samskara, where the man and woman unite to bring about a child, is not being performed in the Brahminical community. So because of that, they are not attracting good progeny. So that is why they say, unless these samskaras are performed, they are a Shudra.
Ah, okay.
Because there is no proper training. Even though these samskaras may be performed, it is not that it's just for show bottle. The most important samskara is the Upanayana samskara. Upanayana means initiation. So when the guru is accepting somebody as their disciple, they are supposed to train those disciples. Otherwise, it's just a show bottle that, okay, I received my beads and I received my name, and then I have a guru. The most important thing is training. So because that is missing in Kali Yuga, training is missing in Kali Yuga, that is why people are called Shudras, because they don't have any kind of training. That's
Okay.
why Prabhupada was
Okay.
very strong. He would also say, like, they're begetting children like cats and dogs, because they just move by their lusty desires and they just have children without marriage, without any kind of consideration.
Okay. Now this makes sense now. Well, I have a lot of questions because I don't know all of the samskaras, and I don't, I wasn't brought up with any of this. So this is so fascinating and wonderful to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Back to the thought of the brahmanas and not performing their you said the I guess the prayers or whatever before begetting children, but then it also follows that their progeny, of course, are not going to be of of pure descent. And this kind of goes in with the fact that Srila Prabhupada and I guess others as well say that like Brahmanas are not Brahmanas by birth. That's something that's not just by your birth does not make you a Brahmana, but rather, it's one who takes on, I guess it's the training like you talked about, but it's just tying in with the with I guess we had a verse maybe I don't know a month ago or something that Brahmanas are not just Brahmanas by birth, but it has to be through I guess through the initiation. Like I guess it's everything you said. It just clicked in a different way. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Yes, Mataji, thank you for adding. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, this kind of training still exists in some places in India. But I think nobody knows the philosophy as well as Srila Prabhupada did. And he was able to communicate it to such a wide audience. But there is training, it still exists. There are some places, we used to have a pujari who was from Udupi. And, early in the morning, they take their children, they take them to a bath in the river. And what they do is, they scrape the tongues of the young children, like with the bark. They have a special bark. So they use that to scrape the tongues of the children. And you know why? Because so that they can recite mantras properly. Because if the tongue is very thick, then they cannot recite Sanskrit properly. So they have very rigorous training, for years and years together, those Brahminical children, they are trained in Gurukuls. So it still exists, but it's very rare now. There are people who are very strict about how they follow their vows. But I think among even they those kind of persons who are very strict, they truly appreciate Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada was very very successful in bringing out the essence of the Vedas and giving it to others.
So I've got a question. So at the beginning of the purport 20, it talks about that there's those classes of people which are attached, and then it says those people that are detached, and then above all is the transcendental, those who are transcendental to all of that. So, and of course we've been talking about Lord Shiva being in that group, but is it not everybody that like people who have prema, would they not also fit into that transcendental group? They're not attached, of course. They're attached only to Krishna. I don't know if you would say that
Yes,
they're
Mataji.
detached. Yeah.
Yes. All the Vrajvasis, for example, they would also fall into that transcendental category. They are neither attached, they're neither detached. They are only attached to Krishna.
Yeah.
Attached to anything material.
In other words, so are these only those Nitya Buddhis or whatever, the ones that have forever? What? Say it again.
Nitya Siddha.
Nitya Siddhas that belong into that. How about those who enter Well, so is prema only for the Nitya Siddhas? No, I thought prema also, people can come to the prema stage.
Yes,
Um,
yes, people can
yeah.
prema stage. Yes, that's true.
Mhm.
Mm.
So it's also people who attain that spontaneous attraction and have come to perfection.
Yes,
That they.
and let me add something, and then we will wrap up very
And.
soon because
Mhm.
it's 6:10. It's not just Nitya and Nitya Siddhas, even sadhana siddhas, sadhana people who are on the sadhana stage, like people like us. Once in a while, we experience that transcendental stage, but it's not consistent. That's the only difference. Once in a while, like when we have heard a very nice class and we become absorbed in service to the deities, or when we become absorbed in chanting the holy name with that spiritual conception, then we also experience those feelings, but they don't last for a long time because we just don't know how to stay in that space. So we also touch those transcendental um, levels once in a while.
Because I'm just making the connection that, like, even when we do Mangalarti prayers, we're talking about the spiritual master being like serving the gopis. I mean, and serving the Lord, like in I guess meditation. So they're coming into that. You know, they're there with the Lord. You know, I guess it all depends on the strength of the spiritual master and to what extent. But the song itself is telling me that if not all, some have attained that stage, and so they're in that transcendental position. I guess also maybe they fall in and out of that position, depending on their consciousness as well.
Yeah, I mean, we should, as disciples, we should not go into that area of saying, okay, my spiritual master sometimes falls in and out. We should not even
Well,
like that as disciples.
okay. Well, I'm just saying because we just had the discussion about
Yeah.
sannyasis being
That's
in a
true,
different
that's
category.
that's
So I
yeah.
mean, so that I was just tying it to what was said there.
Yes, yes,
So my
yes,
you
yeah.
know.
Mm. But yeah, as a disciple, we should never think of our own spiritual master like that.
Okay.
But I see
Okay.
the
Good.
point that you're making, Manasingha Gamataji. It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be disrespectful in any way. I just was
Mm.
trying to understand what had been said before and
Yes,
what
yes.
I'm seeing. You know, that was my perspective, was that they were on the that like through the
Yes.
whole discussion, it was my understanding that they were in the transcendental, because I'm thinking of the meaning of the Gurastakam.
Yes,
And
yes.
so it just didn't make sense to me. And that's why I was adding that sentence at the end.
Yes, yes.
So, my obeisances to if I made any wrong
Your
statement there.
obeisances to all our spiritual masters.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, Mataji, it's 13 after 6, and I know some devotees didn't get to speak at all, but tomorrow we'll have a chance to participate again.
What a nice class, huh? Very good discussion today. Thank you all for helping me out.
Thank you, Mataji.
Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.